Welcome to the I Hate Your Team podcast. I'm formally joined with my co-hosts Caleb and Spit Romney. My name's Nick, and today we're going to be discussing our season predictions for the NFC North. Anything y'all would like to add right off the bat? We're going to have an awkward transitionary period here.
Yeah, I just want to set one ground rule, and that is we will use a talking stick system. No interruptions, please.
Should Caleb and I both get a something to hold up when we want to speak, so we can mediate this properly?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, give me a second. Let me grab something.
The blade.
Caleb got the sword. I got classical mechanics.
By Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, by John R. Taylor. He was alive in, I don't know, when was this book made?
That's crazy.
I don't know, some year, at some point, somebody wrote it. Ugh.
It really puts that 2021 season into perspective, you know?
Dude, it really does. He was, oh, you're talking about Jonathan Taylor. I was talking about the president, John Taylor.
There was a president named John Taylor?
Yeah. Am I tripping?
You might be right, but that's crazy, man. Imagine being a president, an author, and the best running back in the league.
Yeah, exactly. 10th president of the United States, 1841 to 1845. He was also the 10th vice president.
Wow.
Yeah. Caleb, I can't hear a
you know.
single thing you're saying. I'm just going to let you know. Man just went mute for a second. That's his X-Men power. He just can't speak no more. He's gone.
I'm back.
He's back.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? Oh.
Anyway, see, here's the thing about Jonathan Taylor, right?
Mhm.
People, running backs have crazy season,
Mhm.
put up some crazy numbers,
Mhm.
and then when their contract comes around, it gets so inflated that teams kind of put themselves in this hole to keep a running back
Mhm.
when they could trade him for draft capital and draft and develop another running back that could do the same thing.
This is true. These are true statements.
You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
I'm saying is, what I'm getting at here is Jonathan Taylor will not reproduce that season that got him that contract.
That's facts. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to be mid. That's why I ignore him in fantasy all the time. I don't want to touch
It's
him.
just tough, man.
I don't want to
It's
touch him with a
tough.
10-foot pole.
All right, Nick, just for the future of the podcast, can you please define mid? I'm going to write this down.
What is Jonathan Taylor's best season?
At 2021,
Yeah,
right?
I need to see
2021.
I need to see his
pulling up
stats.
some stats.
Yeah, I'm pulling up stats. Let me define what I think. Let's see. 2021 stats. He had 18
I would put,
he had
I would
eight,
put mid below 1,000 yards.
1,800 yards.
That's a fucked up.
He will never exceed 1,200. And will never have, I think he'll have at most 10 touchdowns again.
So that's pretty
would
good.
you say that? So Nick, are you saying that 999 yards and 9 touchdowns is mid?
No, okay, so let me preface this.
No.
In terms of like I say Zeke is mid right now. But like Zeke used to be like goated. So like the criteria of like your ceiling to your floor is that like Jonathan Taylor was like an all-time elite player. Maybe not all-time, but was like an elite player for a year. And like to be mid from that in comparison.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But still,
So
the
mid.
stats you dropped are substantial.
Yeah. Those I will
lot.
acknowledge. Those are good stats. The stats I did drop were pretty good.
So you're saying mid is like it can vary for every player.
Yeah. Like
it's relative to your peak.
Yeah. Like when I dropped that like Zeke is mid, like it's because he's not good anymore. versus like Jonathan Taylor, where I just don't think he's going to be that good again. It's a subjective take here.
Yep. Very true.
Okay, so what does goated mean?
What does goated mean? I don't know. You helped me win a fantasy league one year. That's pretty goated. Like Jonathan Taylor when he put up 1,800 yards, that was goated.
Goated.
Yeah, but he was on my team that year.
Yeah, he didn't win me a championship, but he won a championship that year. He won.
Does that mean he's goated though?
That year he was. He won people leagues.
Goated. Give me top 3 in your position category across the league.
Like
Consider that goated. If you are in the top 3 across the league in your position group, I would consider that goated. We could open it to top 5 because there's a lot of players.
I'm down with that.
But
I'm down with that. We're saying goated as in a modern term. There's only like a couple of like all-time goats though. I think right now actively playing.
yeah, if we're talking
Goat is different
greatest
than
of all
goated.
time,
Yeah, goat. Yeah. We'll clear the air with that real quick. Like goats, there's Mahomes. That's kind of it.
yeah.
I don't know if
Good time to
there's
be
any other real people who have like a GOAT argument of their position at the moment.
Dude, I remember watching the Chiefs when they were in their playoff twilight zone. They would like enter, get out immediately, or maybe win a game and then get out.
When they lost to Tom
And
Brady, like
everybody
3 years.
wanted them to be good.
Mhm.
Like I feel like across the league, people are like, I like the Chiefs. Why can't they just go that extra step and upset the Patriots? And now it's really flipped, and people are getting annoyed of them just because they're so damn good, dude.
I feel like
You see them all the time.
a lot of people wanted the Chiefs to be good because somebody wanted the Patriots to not be good.
Definitely.
Everybody wanted the Brady to be out, and then now that
gotta
Brady's
be,
out, Mahomes is up.
Yeah. Perfect transition.
Yeah. What do you hate more, the Patriots dynasty or the Chiefs dynasty?
Oh, I'm a fan of the
Patriots
Chiefs dynasty,
dynasty.
man.
Okay. Good.
I'll hate on the Patriots. That was tough.
Good.
know.
Good.
Yeah, fuck Boston.
Facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
Fuck Boston. That's facts.
It's like the Eagles having a dynasty, dude. Like imagine Eagles fans if they won all the Super Bowls all the time. You'd be like, shut the fuck up.
If an NFC
You know what I mean?
if an NFC dynasty happens ever, we're fucked. Like we're all collectively fucked because it'll be none of our teams. It'll be none of ours. It's not going to be an NFC North team. We all know this.
Yeah. I mean, arguably there are 2 dynasties in the NFC North. If we're talking historically here, but as far as Super Bowls go,
I mean,
It'll be
I'll
the
flip it on
boys,
its head
man.
and say the Lions. Lions have a reverse dynasty.
Yeah, they're just bad for so long.
Yeah, exactly. You
Sure.
cannot monopolize a certain position within the league like that and not be a dynasty. Like in the NBA, the Hawks have the mid dynasty. They're perfectly 500 every year.
Ooh, that's true. What's the 2 dynasties that you'd consider, Caleb? Just
Oh,
for
I'm
like
talking Packers Bears.
oh, like OG days. I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I was gonna say Super Bowl era.
I mean, you could throw Detroit in there too, right? How many championships do they have?
3 or 4.
Really? I thought it was like 5 or 6.
It might be. You're probably right. I don't know shit. I don't know ball. So
4. It's 4.
oh, okay. I did know
It's
ball
4.
right there.
Yeah, that's.
I was gonna say
historical
I didn't know if there was one in the Super Bowl era because I was like, man, it's so sporadic.
right.
Unless you
I
just
mean,
can.
you also have the Steelers, who actively, won a bunch of Super Bowls. Maybe
That's-
not in a row,
That's
but
an AFC team though.
they're good at. Yeah, true.
NFC
But they're good at winning
dynasties. There's
Super
only
Bowls.
2 I can think of off the top of my head, and that's the Cowboys and the Niners dynasties.
Yeah.
3 of
The
those
boys.
3 of
Ugh.
those Cowboys wins, Super Bowl wins, were against the Bills though. Let's keep that in mind. I think it's at least 2, might be 3.
Dude,
That's
if
what
we
I'm
got a
saying.
Bills boys matchup rematch,
Dude, I'll just
That'd be
literally end my own life. You know what we need? We need a Vikings Bills matchup. One of them will win a Super Bowl. Two teams who are notorious for never winning a Super Bowl.
Will
Oh, that they tie? First Super Bowl tie? Okay.
first ever.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. First things first. Moving to the NFC North. I need you guys to decide for me between Caleb Williams and Jordan Love, who is a vampire and who is a werewolf.
Okay,
And you need to agree. The two of you need to agree.
I think it's pretty obvious.
I
that
think so
Williams
too,
is
but
the
maybe we're on
werewolf,
who?
and that Williams is the werewolf, and Love would be the vampire.
No, I disagree with that.
Just looking at their face structure and the hair, for me, Williams right now is
Are you
very
being racist
gruffy.
right now?
He's got the werewolf.
Yeah, but have you
It's
seen
not funny.
have you seen Love with a Fro?
Jordan Love's face. He's got like that weird, like those droopy features.
Nah, here's my
Looks like
argument.
a vampire, definitely.
Here's my argument is that like Caleb Williams is I think he's a vampire because like he's just consistently there. Like there's never like a lock it in, lock it off. But like Love, you'll get the photos of him on a boat and he's got that like beer belly and he's just like holding a Corona or something. Like, oh, what up, dude? And then you face him in a game and he just locks the fuck in. And it's like a switch, like kind of like how a werewolf pulls up when it's
I don't know. I
fucking
would
full
still
moon.
see Caleb being the wolf, man, being the werewolf because he's nice, you know. And then full moon comes out, something else.
I feel like he's just always a nice guy, though.
Kind of feel like Love is reserved maybe a little bit as far as media goes, and he just reminds me of a vampire.
See, more so my thing is that just like Williams gives off Dracula vibes. That's like kind of where my thing is, where he just wants to be the guy. And then like Love is just like he just kind of like he'll just lock in occasionally. Like he's not like monster 24/7.
Yeah.
But when he's on the field, he's the monster.
I could see Jordan Love sleeping upside down.
You know that might be true. That could be true. You might present an argument here that makes sense. What is Jared Goff in all this?
Jared's what is Jared?
What's Jared here?
Jared's that guy in Hotel Transylvania. That's the human. He's the human.
He's the human. Drew, you are muted.
All right, I think Jared Goff is immortal. I agree with you. I don't think he's a werewolf or a vampire. He's just a guy.
So what's Sam Darnold then?
Vampire
Sam Darnold?
Killer. He's the vampire killer.
He is. Definitely.
I felt like he was
has
like
a wooden stake.
If we're keeping it with the Hotel Transylvania thing, I kind of thought he was like I feel like Sam Darnold is that like goo monster. You know what I'm talking about? Goo monster.
I actually don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen Hotel Transylvania. But Sam Darnold like travels the league. He's here for a year or two. He's there for a year or two. Now he's come. I'm just saying, the NFC North, where in the last 2 years we have these two new young quarterbacks, one of which is a vampire.
I'm sending a picture of what I think Sam Darnold is in the general chat. I'll put this up on screen.
Yeah.
That's what I view.
Yeah.
This is how I view Sam Darnold.
That's that's the goo monster.
Yeah, he's the goo monster, the slime monster, if you will. He's just sliming it. Okay. Speaking of Hotel Transylvania and monsters, should we start this with a breakdown of ranking the positional groups, or do we want to go through like actual season predictions, like ceilings, floors of each of the teams?
We could start with the ranking positional groups within the NFC North.
I love this.
That'd be fun.
This is
Nick. How about you fire off, buddy?
Okay. What group we want to start with? I feel like it'd be easy. We could go with we could just start with quarterback and then run our way down.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. I think there's two obvious players here that I'd put I think Sam Darnold is easily the worst in the division. Like, no argument here.
I second that.
You second that? Okay. I think third, I feel like Caleb Williams, just for the sake of he hasn't done anything yet, but this is something that I think could change easily.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah, like by the end of the season, he could be second, like 100%. I could totally see that.
We have not seen him.
And then comes the Goff Love discussion.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I'm biased, so I'm gonna go with my dog at number one, but I would say accolades, Goff has accomplished far more than Love has in a longer career, though.
This is why I would argue Jared. It's tough. It's hard, but Jared's been in the Super Bowl multiple playoff wins.
Yep, been to 2 NFC
know.
championships. I agree.
How many career playoff wins does he have now? Does he have
Oh,
10 yet?
uh,
Because he's got near that. If not that, it's at least 8.
he's won 5 playoff games.
No way.
He's
What?
been
Oh,
Yep.
wait, did they have a bye last?
He
No,
has
they
been.
won.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Goff has been to the playoffs 9 times. He's been there 9 times. Won the wild card and the divisional round this year. He won a wild card in 2021, then lost the divisional. And then they had a bye in 2019 and then went to the Super Bowl and lost.
And Jordan has been once and won one game.
Yes, but
and one loss, right? So
yep,
one.
yep. He's got a, but that is also in one season, first season. I
mean,
guess
people want to talk down on that 2018 Super Bowl performance from Jared, but the truth is that Patriots defense was really good, man. It was really good, and it rattled him.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen Jared get rattled by good pass rush quite often.
Yeah.
But other than that,
give me one
especially
second.
in Detroit, he's been pretty
Okay.
laser focused. So I would put Jared above
am
Jordan.
in the thing here. Probably like another 20, 30 minutes.
However, that's not to say that Jordan is bad in any way, because I do believe he's good.
Okay.
Unfortunately, wasn't supposed to be, but he is.
Yeah.
So
I think
here we are.
I agree with everything you said. I do say I guess that comes down to it is like career wise, Goff is definitely better. But who would you rather have on your team? Like
Caleb.
who would you, huh?
Caleb.
Okay. Whoa.
Between
That's
those two, it's tough, man. I don't know if I would. I don't know.
See, I think you can.
Let me flip it and say, which quarterback would you rather have in the position they will be this year on their team?
I think
Because we're not in a vacuum here.
Mm-hmm. I think Love could do what Goff does and more on the Lions. I don't think Goff could do everything that Love does and more on the Packers.
Yes, but this year Goff is on the Lions and Love is on the Packers.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is that I think pure skill, Love has a lot more pure skill, but historically, Goff has been a very efficient quarterback and has been proven he's able to succeed in a lot of positions.
Yeah.
And Goff will benefit from having one of the best offensive lines in the league, and that's just going to be part of the deal this season. And I think that it's not worth trying to separate that out in a situation like we're having.
That's true. Okay, we could say Goff
when you
won.
look at the two, when you put Jordan above Jared, I think it falls down to one thing, and that's mobility.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see Jared doing a ton of outside the pocket stuff.
Yeah.
Unless he has to. But because he has that great line, he can sit in there and just throw dimes.
Yeah.
But
That's
with
true.
Jordan, I feel like you put Jordan on, little outside run, throw it on the move, and he'd be really, really effective. We've seen this already. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fair. I'm totally behind the whole on their isolated teams. I'm higher on the Lions this year. I think they're just gonna have a better record. So I think by that metric, you could argue that Goff would be higher on the tiers than like Love is. Until the Packers beat the Lions in the playoffs, but until then. Okay. So hey, that's fair. So let's jump to the running back rooms. What's the consensus number 4, you think? I think it's a fair argument here. Yeah. The
4th place.
The Vikings, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Give me Minnesota.
Who is the Vikings starting running back this year?
It is Aaron Jones.
Yes, from the Packers.
No.
So.
Well, there you go. So
yeah, it's Aaron Jones, who's 33 right now, I think.
And they've got their other.
But that's
guy.
no, he's 29. I'm wrong. I'm just thinking of his number.
Sort of
I thought he was
new
older
guy
than
that
he
they
is.
Drafted.
Huh?
Ty Chandler is their other running back, sort of new that they drafted.
What, last year?
A couple years ago.
Oh, it's 2 years ago. I see.
A couple years ago.
I mean,
but other than that, dude, they don't have any other running backs on their depth chart.
I mean, to be totally upfront, Ty Chandler will be the starter at some point when Aaron Jones inevitably gets hurt. I'm not rooting for an injury of Aaron Jones. I love that man, but he is going to get hurt. It's an inevitability. And so
Shoot,
Ty
yeah,
Chandler will be the starter.
we might see an interesting signing or elevation mid-season with the running back spot there.
I don't know. There's no one on their number 3. They don't have a third running back on the depth chart, and
Yeah.
I don't know if they have anybody on the practice squad even. For that's running back. I would have thought if they're going to sign anybody, it would have been Dalvin Cook. That they would have brought Dalvin Cook back instead of him going to the Cowboys. But
Well, he beat his wife, so
that is true. Wife beater city over here. Honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like it now. I think obvious number 1 is that the Lions have the best running back room.
I don't know, man. Is it obvious? Because hear me out.
You're gonna hit me with something. I'm gonna call cap because I know what you're about to hit.
Chicago had the best rushing offense last year.
Okay, but how about outside of having
is-
Fields,
That is numero uno.
including with
Understandable.
Fields or not including Fields plays?
Oh yeah, well this is obviously including Fields.
Yeah, that's the point.
Guess who's
like-
number 2? Baltimore.
Yeah. So then my question comes: do you know what the rushing stats for just running backs was in Chicago last year?
You know, I do. I don't even think they all collectively breached 1,000 yards, but
I'm down to say
it's not always about that, man. Okay,
I think
obviously it's about the guys you got in the room, the rotation you're taking, just to running the ball, but it's about the play design in the offensive line, blocking.
here's
We've
the
already seen
weird.
some of that.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
fair.
like you have just described the Lions running back situation.
Yes. Now, if Jared Goff ran 500-600 yards, obviously that would help a lot more with the stats.
Mhm.
But that being said, it's just tough. It's just tough to go head to head, man.
So
It's weird that we're in this spot now where Swift is on the Bears and Montgomery is on the Lions. It's very strange.
I think that I want to say the Packers are 2, but I could be totally persuaded otherwise in this argument. My only argument is that I think Josh Jacobs is better than DeAndre Swift, and that.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Why is that? Yes.
I think over the course of it, Josh Jacobs had a better top season than Swift has. Swift has also proven to be fairly inefficient, and his numbers come from when he's put in a workhorse situation. Like on the Eagles, he wasn't extremely efficient, even behind like that great line, but he just had so much. He did so much that he was able to
Yeah.
get some good numbers. And like in the red zone, he was highly inefficient, like not great. Which led to like having to have Hurts get so many rushing touchdowns. And he just always gets hurt.
Don't forget they also did the tush push every other play.
Yeah.
That is
score,
true.
That's fact.
But he also had to
That's
do that.
fact.
He also had to do that so often because Swift just couldn't get it in the end zone. That he'd come up
Yeah,
short
but-
and ended up at like the 3 or the 2 yard line, and then it's like, okay, we got to tush push it in because Swift can't get in there. I could be persuaded that the Bears have a better one because I would say that overall there's more depth. Like the Packers, if Jacobs gets hurt right now, I think is going to be a problem. And where like I think the gap between like Swift, Herbert, and Johnson, more so Swift and Herbert, is not that large. And so I'd say that like if an injury happened, or you can design more schematic plays with different running backs, it could be a more effective room overall. But I just think the Packers have the better player. And I guess that comes down to, would you rather have like the more guys who are kind of more in the same line, or have one guy who's better than all of them?
Let's not forget that last year, Swift not only had his most rushing yards ever, but he didn't falter from, touchdown-wise. His most touchdowns was his rookie year. And throughout the Lions, he was getting a lot more passes than he did this past year at the Eagles, where he proved, he was running the ball more. But that being said, he's a double threat, man. That's what makes him so effective.
I'd like
With
to point
Josh
out,
Jacobs, he's a downhill runner, but
He's
it's
also
nice that
prone
you
to
can toss
missing
the ball to
games.
Swift.
yeah, Swift's gonna miss games, and that's like an inevitability.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that Swift almost didn't even have the starting job in Philadelphia, if not for like a freak week 1 injury. That he was like running back 2 until an injury happened to somebody.
That's
on the
fair, but
Eagles.
if that didn't happen, then he wouldn't be in the position he is now.
Yeah.
Because he went there because the Lions were done with him. They didn't
Yeah.
want him anymore. They wanted someone better.
Yeah.
And he had his most productive rushing season of his career over there in Philly. Not to mention the Bears got 4 running backs on their depth chart. And Herbert's proven to be a great rotational guy. But I'm hoping to see more development here from Roschon Johnson, who was back there with, what's his name, Bijan Robinson. They were kind of the duo at Tennessee. So hoping to see more from him. And then you got the 4th string guy, Homer.
What was his average yards per attempt? Oh, okay. I guess his yards per attempt was pretty good. It was all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I was clowning on Swift a bit more, but
I would put Bears at 2.
I could be fine with that.
More than one running back in that room that has had great seasons.
Yeah, I 100%. I can say that like with the downfall that Swift will lose time. I can agree that when he eventually does go down, that you guys will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, without Fields, the rushing stats will drop, but I think it'll still be a great part of their scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to interject and say that the Bears do not play on a full moon day this year. The Packers, however, do have Sunday night football against the Seahawks, December 15th on a full moon. So we will have
Jordan will be there.
He will. We'll see if he turns into a werewolf. Then you're right. But if he doesn't, then I think that we could say that you're wrong. You know.
If he misses the game.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, if he got injured.
Oh no,
he's gonna miss this one.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump to the wide receiver cores.
You know.
This one I think is going to be a hot take. There's going to be a lot of hot takes in this one.
Which room? Which
wide receiver rooms?
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Nick,
let's.
again.
What's the best room?
First things first. Who's 4th?
I think 4th is harder to discuss than like 1st is. I think there's a couple of easy arguments for 1st. Like where I'd almost say, to me, I think it's the Bears.
In first place,
yeah.
You're saying that?
I think I'm going to say the Bears are in 1st.
Heard you say that?
Just sheer personnel wise, I'd say that the Bears are in 1st. My argument like against the Lions is that in terms of just receivers, not just pass catchers, if you're just talking wide receivers, the room is slim. It's like Amon-Ra, and then you're going to and then it's kind of dwindles off from there. With like if Jameson kind of pulls up, then you're going to get some production, but it's kind of just one guy. And I'd almost argue it's a similar case with the Vikings too. Except I'd rather have the Vikings over maybe the Lions just because I know there's a little bit more production with Addison. And I think Jefferson's a better...
I mean, yeah.
And then...
I think that's fair. The Lions only have 4 receivers on the 53-man roster. It's definitely a slim room.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you there, Nick.
I'd say I'd probably put like...
I think the Bears have the best room.
Mm-hmm. I'd put the Vikings over the Lions. But then the Green Bay, to me, is such a weird argument.
Well, here's the thing about these NFC North teams, right? Most of these teams have at least one receiver that is like in the top 10 for last year for stats.
Except
you got DJ Moore, that's right at the brim, who had 1,300 yards. I think he was 10 or 9. Keenan Allen is one spot behind him.
Yep.
Obviously for the Chargers, but he was wide receiver 1. Then you got Jefferson, like spot number 2. St. Brown, spot number 4.
Yeah.
You know, so these are all.
The Packers, to me, is a weird argument where to me it's either their first. It's not the first. It's either their second or their 4th. And that's like, and it kind of comes down to like personnel. Like where I think the benefit of the Packers is that there isn't a wide receiver 1, but there's so much depth in this room of guys who are all really good that when you have that, like their core out together, they have 6 guys who could all play the receiver 1 on this team. And so when you throw them all out together, like in a 3 wide receiver set, it's hard to cover that type of team, like those types of guys.
I feel like that's been the most common thing I've seen from Green Bay fans, is that they have multiple wide receiver 1s.
Yeah.
But I feel like if that were the case, we would not be having this discussion.
Yeah. Like
you know what I mean?
Receiver for receiver, wide receiver 1, if you were to go like, hey, this is a wide receiver 1, the Packers are dead last. Like same thing with wide receiver 2, they're dead last. And then wide receiver 3, they're probably first just because Jaden Reed is technically the 3. And I'd say he's like the best 3. But in terms of receiving core, like we have 6 receivers on the roster who can all fundamentally do like a different task or like a different specialized thing.
Yeah.
And I guess it then comes down to...
realistically, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know, you want all those guys who are good at specific things. But I just get flashbacks to the Darnell Mooney wide receiver 1 situation
Mhm.
where the Bears had Mooney, Equanimous St. Brown,
Mhm.
and Byron Pringle
See, I think that
compared
like
to,
I think that
what they're working with now.
I think that even like when you're coming at it from this perspective, Jaden Reed, Dubs, Wicks are all better than I think Darnell Mooney was. Maybe it was just like the Darnell Mooney in that situation, but I think those are three guys at least. I mean, we haven't seen much of Watson, but if he can perform at what you expect him to, that's four guys who are all like better than you could say Darnell Mooney was.
Have they had a season like Mooney's best season?
What is Darnell Mooney's best season?
It'd be 81 receptions, 1,055 yards, and 4 TDs.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull up the collective. Okay, Dubs had. Let's see. What's his?
Because I know
2020?
Watson had something crazy, like 8 or 10 touchdowns that one season.
I don't think any of them. We have not had any of our receiving core hit 1,000 yards. That's what I will guarantee you right now. Reed came the
Okay.
closest last year, and had 793 yards on 64 receptions, 94 targets, 8 TDs. He was very efficient with what he was doing. But we also had a lot of guys. I think all five of our guys had over 500 yards.
Okay. Yep. And Darnell hasn't hit 500 since 2021.
Yeah.
It's been close, but
So like, yeah, we've had quite a few guys who've kind of hit that. Like, none of them are like elevating like the individually, but as a core,
yeah.
they're getting a ton of yards. It's just
I
more
don't know.
spread
It's
out.
tough, man. Because when you look at the passing issues that were, restricting Darnell from getting the ball, and like even Cole Kmet had more yards and touchdowns than Darnell did. But if you put Darnell on the Packers, I feel like he would be, I don't know, one of the more dangerous guys. I think he would be at least number 2, not lower than number 2 on that team.
Maybe I'm just super low on Mooney, but I disagree.
Okay.
I would take our top 4 over Mooney. And maybe that's just a bias here, or me clowning on Mooney a whole lot. But I'd take Wicks,
I mean,
Watson, Dubs, and Reed over Mooney.
that's fair, man. You've watched them more, and I've watched Mooney more, so
That's fair.
That's fair.
Anyhow, so let's get a final consensus as to where the Packers rank, second or fourth. I think those are the only two options really. Is either you think they're the worst because they don't have like a top 10 receiver, or they're like second because they have so much depth.
I'll take fourth, but it's by a sliver, man.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that the Vikings aren't there is because they have one of the goated players in the league, and they just happen to have like a goated receiver. So, yeah, yeah. But hey, I'm happy to be in this position. It's been a decade since I've looked at the wide receiver room and believed in my heart that it is good, safe.
Drew, you in the same consensus then with that?
You're muted.
Yeah, that's all pretty much fair to me.
Okay.
Moving on to tight ends. Just so we all know, National Tight Ends Day this year is October 27th.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
So,
goated.
Yeah.
I think that this is a super easy argument to make. I think tight ends might be the easiest position group.
Yeah.
I think it's Laporta, Hawkinson, Kmet, and then the Packers.
Yeah.
We're not counting tight end duos. You're just counting one player.
I'm fine.
I would.
I still think that it holds up even if you count duos. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Struggling to think of a team where I could name the second tight end that isn't the Lions.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll put Detroit at number 1. I've been personally impressed with Cole Kmet. Dude's big and he can catch. I watched him for 2 years where he could not catch the ball, dude. It was tough. He just dropped everything. But now he's a weapon. I'd put him over Hawkinson personally, but I'm biased, so.
I think you're biased here. I think you're forgetting how good Hawkinson was.
If we're thinking about production this season, I mean Cole's going to be better than Hawkinson, bro.
I mean Hawkinson's also going to be out for like 6 games, so.
Is he? Is he hurt already?
Yeah, he tore his ACL last year.
That's right.
Still hurt.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we could bring it back up once he's healthy, up and running.
I
you know,
could.
starting a full season.
That's fair.
But
I could argue with. I could agree with that argument. I think without Hawkinson, the Vikings have the worst receiving room. I mean, not the
mhm.
receiving room, the worst tight end room, but I'd say that I still think Hawkinson's too. I think he's better than Komet when healthy.
That's
He
tough.
commit block.
And he could
Yeah,
block. That's true.
Komet's a good blocker.
Hawkinson ain't doing that shit.
Komet's a good blocker, man.
Yeah.
He's a big boy,
Mhm.
and he had a lot of one-handed grabs, which is like impressive to see from such a giant person.
That's fair.
But
Yeah, I mean, when Hawkinson comes back, I
Yeah.
mean, he's going to be the wide receiver too on that team. So
true.
I think that's
He's
a
gonna
fair.
get a lot of catches.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair. It's just that their quarterback situation, at least for this season, without JJ, they're done, bro. They are fucked. I'll say that unequivocally.
They're not making the playoffs, but I think they're going to do better than people have them at.
6 or less wins.
I have them at 6.
Not higher than 6.
I think their ceiling is
You
7.
spend first 2 months of the season is just gonna be stuck in it. JJ's out there somewhere. I think this team's gonna be awful.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they're going to be not great, but I think they could definitely get to like 6 wins when Hawkinson comes back.
Yeah.
Offensive line
Wait, 6 wins total or 6 wins off after Hawkinson comes back?
total.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Offensive line.
The big O.
O-line?
Who's the worst O line in the division?
Vikings.
Who's the worst?
The Vikings, and I don't think it's
Minnesota,
close.
Man. It's Minnesota.
Yeah. I think it's
Um,
like Minnesota at like an F, and then it's like, and then you get a bit of a jump before you get to the other 3. I think we just got to preface that like
Mhm.
third is significantly better than Minnesota.
That's
It's
fair.
tough because Packers had some big losses
who's
this year,
3?
man. Bakhtiari left. Didn't you have another guy leave? A center?
No. Well, I think we had no, not really. Our offensive line is pretty similar to this year.
I think 2 notable names left.
We had a defensive line, I believe.
And
But we got. I mean, our line is also it's just healthy this year. Like we had a lot of backup guys last year and the year before, and so now we actually have like our starting linemen that are all healthy going into the year this year. So it's just it looks like a different line.
biggest thing that stands out for Chicago is that they now finally have 2 great tackles, and they have at least 1 good guard. We have a new center this season, so TBD on that. But he was, top 15 in production last year with the Chargers. And then talking about not the other guy, Ryan Bates, who I believe will play guard a lot this season. But the biggest question marks for Chicago is just that right guard and that center spot. Other than that, man, they got good anchors.
Honestly, it's the Packers is kind of similar. Center is going to be kind of an issue for us. We just haven't invested a ton in that spot, and then
It sounds like a bad problem to have, honestly.
well, it's
tough.
I mean, he's not bad. It's just like there's other people we'd rather have playing in the position, and you could definitely like elevate at center. Center is like probably our weakest spot on the line, but it's not like detrimental.
It's tough because you could argue it's the most important on the line.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with cadences and the snaps and shit.
But
I've just seen a lot of years of bad center play with Chicago, man. We've gone through that so much. So we'll see.
I'm torn on one is obviously the Lions. I don't think we got to discuss that much. I think it could be a coin flip from the Packers and the Bears. I think they're very close. I kind of lean a little bit more Packers, just because I think that there's less holes to fill on the line than I think that there are with the Bears. Like I think
another big question mark is injuries.
Yeah, and that's true.
I mean, Tevin Jenkins is, this is his 4th year on the team, and he's played like 26 games or something. So when he's in, he's one of the best guards in the league.
Yeah.
Facts. But when, but he's played half the games, so it's really tough.
See, like Elton Jenkins, when he plays, I think is like an elite guard, like in a very similar spot. Like I'd say sway. I'm gonna say Packers 2 and then Bears 3.
I'll take that, man.
Yeah.
I'll take that. We're dealing with new people on that line, so
yeah, that's
we'll
fair.
See.
Okay, now
We'll see.
I think the defense
All
is
right.
where we get into some
Yeah,
hot
let's
takes
flip it.
here.
Right, let's flip it right over to D line. Big guys.
D
Who's got the best
line.
big
D
guys?
line.
Ah,
I think it's the Packers.
man.
I think Packers are one.
Oh, come on.
Nah, dude.
Come
On God, I
on,
think the
dude. You
Packers
did
are
not
one.
just say that.
Kenny
You
Clark,
did
Preston
not.
Smith, Rashawn Gary is like such a baller top three. And like we got TJ Slayton too,
It's
who's
good
also
if
pretty
you're
good.
like 30.
Dude,
You know,
like
if you're a 30-year-old
nah,
fan, you're
dude.
like, yeah.
The Packers defensive line is I think it's clear and cut number one. Let me take a look at the other teams. I'd rather
I
have it
don't
over
know,
the
dude.
Lions.
It's tough because don't forget that Detroit made two huge additions in Marcus Davenport, who was super productive for the Saints all his career, and DJ Reader, who's one of the best players on the Carolina Panthers defense. Their defense wasn't bad. Their offense
Mhm.
blew.
I
Their
could say
defense wasn't bad, man.
watching the defensive line in preseason and at like Packers family night, like it's so much better. It's so much better than it was, and I think it's like not even close. Even with just personnel, like when you're rocking like in the preseason, we were rocking like second or third stringers. We were fucking cooking. Like we played the
Yeah.
Broncos starting offensive line with our second and third string defensive linemen, and fucking smoked them.
It's hard, Nick. I would not put them at number one.
I
Simple
guess who's the
fact
argument for
is,
one? Who's your argument for one?
the simple fact, I would almost say Detroit. You know, Hutchinson was one of the best ends in the league, hands down, last season. He was one of the best. Sweat for the Bears led two teams in sacks, first player ever in league history to do that. Okay,
Hmm.
but the problem is with the Bears,
That's
they
a
don't have the other. They don't have
crazy
the
stat,
other
by the way.
book end. And the Lions, they added the interior and the book end
I guess I run in.
this season of free agency. So I would take Detroit at number one.
See, I haven't watched a whole lot of Lions preseason, so I don't know how their defensive line is necessarily looking. Like I don't know, Drew, if you've watched a whole lot of that.
I think I I think that the Lions have stumbled into some surprisingly effective additions on the D line, and I think it's going to. I don't know if it's better than the Packers because honestly, I don't know a single thing about the Packers D line. I did not recognize any of the names you just named,
Mm,
but I
Dude,
think
that's
it
what I'm
will be good.
saying. If you're
nah.
30, that sounds goaded.
See,
And they're not bad. I'm not
they're
saying
all
they're
they're
bad.
all
And
young.
their
These are
depth looks good too.
these are all young guys. I'd like to preface that we don't have a single player on our team from after I think it's 2018. I'm pretty sure Kenny Clark is our oldest player.
It's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, if we want to base it on sack production, Packers, I think, would be above the Bears last year because we got sweat like 6 games into the season. Um, but it's hard for me, man. I might put Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay,
Oh,
Minnesota.
okay. This is where I'm gonna nah. The
But
Packers are
I
better than
might, hey,
Chicago.
I'd be open. I'd be open to
Vikings
interswapping.
Vikings
Okay,
are last.
okay.
Okay, Drew. Yeah.
Hey, all right, this be a talking. Carry on.
I have
Okay.
equipped
You
the
know
stick.
you
Nick,
can have
go
the
ahead.
stick first. I'll let you have the stick first.
No, I want to hear what you guys say.
Okay. I think even last year this Packers defensive line was better than like a lot of people want to give it credit for. Um, like the rest of I'll admit our defense sucked aside from that, but like the defensive line to me is like the best, like the most redeeming quality of this team, and that like especially going in with like how we were playing in the preseason, which was ungodly aggressive, and like just like the new scheme I think can definitely elevate like the guys that we have to like easily a top 3 top 5 defensive line in the league. I like watching them play. I'm seeing what they're doing, and they look explosive. They look aggressive. They can get into the pocket whenever they wanted to. And now, this is preseason, but a lot of it, like scheme wise, I think is going to be a huge part in this. I
I
think,
will note.
and I think there's also a ton of depth in terms of the Packers line that the other teams don't necessarily have. That we have like 6, maybe 7 guys who could be thrown into like a starting role if need be. You may go.
I agree with the depth statement. You know, I watched their games, even and they were explosive, man. Even those second, third string guys. Um, but as far as scheme goes, I saw some interesting linebacker formations. Now, keep in mind, I am not a play designer. I'm not a coach, defense coach. But they had these weird formations where they had like 3 linebackers up high or something. And then they'd run the ball. The opposing team would run the ball and get like 10, 15 yards on them because the linebackers started all together in the back and then had to go
Last year or
and
this year
tackle.
you're seeing?
This was in preseason.
Oh, yeah.
But while that was happening, the pocket is collapsing from everywhere. And as if the run back could get past the line, then they were open. But it was interesting. Like if we're talking about scheme, some interesting things I was seeing that were hurting them with some of those plays.
Yeah, like I'll totally admit that the linebacker room and like our secondary is like not great and it's going to take a good amount of time to probably adjust even going into this year. Especially figuring out like who certain starters in different areas are. And I think that definitely does kind of hurt the offensive line in certain regards, like especially in a play like that when like a linebacker can't stop a running back because the line is definitely going in. They're breaking down the line, but the linebackers can't stop a running back if they go outside. And that is definitely a problem. But like for me, I just think defensive line. I think it's the best in the division. And maybe that's a
I'm
bias
taking
here.
Detroit. I'll take Detroit. I'm excited about some of these Bears depth pieces, man. But I will agree we are missing pretty much, a DT and a DE that are super effective all the time. So could argue the Packers are better than there, but they're not better than the Lions.
I'll disagree, but I'm willing for the sake of keeping it moving to put Packers at 2, Bears 3, Vikings 4, Lions 1.
Sweet.
Cool.
You going backfield next, secondary?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be pretty simple.
Secondary? Yeah, number 1, I'm taking Chicago.
Yeah,
Chicago.
that's facts.
Chicago.
Honestly, I think number 1 it's easy, and the bottom 3 I think it could be argued anyway. I think all 3 of these I think the Vikings, Lions, and Packers have had very weak secondary play.
A lot of unproven rooms here, man.
A lot, yeah.
You got the Lions guys that they picked up and drafted. Same with the Packers. So it'll be interesting to see.
Which team is going to have the first pick off of a secondary player in the division?
Could be Packers. I mean, they play Friday before the season starts. I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to get one.
I run into like when it comes to secondary play, I mean Jair's probably gonna get a pick. I just think Jair's probably in theory one of the better players in terms of like secondaries when it comes to the division, which I guess give a slant, but I've seen this fucking secondary be god awful. Like I think there's an argument that they could be 4th, 3rd, or 2nd.
I will say this, man, the Bears will pick off Will Levis week 1. At least one time.
Probably. I'm down to say.
Will Levis will throw a pick.
You want to throw a hot take? I don't know much about the Vikings secondary, and we don't really have a Vikings person here, but we've kind of been clowning on them a lot. Do we want to throw them at 2nd?
Well, let's take a look at their depth chart because they do have some notable names. But the thing is, when you start to get past those people, and they got older people too, like Harrison Smith, one of the only white cornerbacks in the league. Also, the name of a man that I know. Stephon Gilmore, though, was their big pickup.
Shout out Ace is Wild.
So the question is if Stephon could still be the baller.
I'm honestly willing to like take it whatever order. We could flip a coin on it, honestly. I think the secondary is just like, aside from the Bears, is kind of like lackluster. I'd maybe even just say that the Lions might be number 2 just because of their rookie acquisitions and what they've been doing in terms of free agency and stuff like that.
As far as players go, I'd put Packers at number 2, man. Jair is
That's true.
He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I mean, fortunately, Jalen Johnson's the best in the league, but Jair's great. And I would put them at number 2. Lions are unproven, but they should pop off.
Yeah.
Pop them at 3.
Really, it's such a weird scenario this year. For like, honestly, I'd argue all 3 of those teams, like for the Lions, Packers, and Vikings, where it's more like schematic wise, and that they kind of have like the personnel to do it, like all 3 teams, but they have to just put it all together and actually like get a scheme that works with the guys that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And so really it's just who figures it out. I'd say that I maybe have a bit more confidence in the Lions, but I would possibly agree that the Packers do have a like better personnel wise,
Right.
but lack a good
I mean,
like
they
a
both
schematic to work.
Minnesota and Detroit added, one of those veteran guys to kind of be the big dog that they look up
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
So the question is about the rookies, man. How can they take it in?
Mhm.
How could they take it in off of
Mhm.
what is it, Carlton at the
Mhm.
Lions and Stefan the Vikings?
Mhm. Yeah, that's fair. We could do
But I
this.
think the Lions have drafted themselves to set up better for a deeper
Mhm.
secondary
That's
because
yeah.
it was a big problem,
I think the Vikings lack a lot of depth when it comes to that. I'm down to put them at 4, but I think the Lions and the Packers both have in that similar spot of drafted a lot of young guys and are hoping they produce a lot. Which I'm more confident in the Lions rookies than I am the Packers, just because I think schematically the Lions might be able to figure it out a bit better than the Packers will. Just because the Packers kind of have to go through a full defensive change, like in terms of coaching
They
and what's
do.
going on
They
there.
do. It'll all depend on how quickly that can transition.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that's fair. Jump to safeties.
Oh, I was including safeties in the secondary.
Oh, I was saying safeties are different. I guess that was my argument here.
How about linebackers?
I had the I had the linebackers, cornerbacks as the secondary, and then I had the safeties as their own little thing.
I see. See, yeah, I was pairing up safeties, corners, and then linebacker rooms separate.
Mm-hmm.
But we can do however.
I still think
Safety.
my stuff still holds either way, and I think that the general consensus of the group is that it holds probably the same
Yeah.
with the
I'd
cornerbacks.
be interested in diving into this linebacker room though, because you got big names everywhere.
I'm
You
down.
know.
We could get jumping in there. I think I'll quickly delve on the safeties because I don't think that's really a long topic, and then we could jump back to the linebackers.
Yeah.
Minnesota, I think, is third or fourth, and then
Sure.
I think Xavier McKinney pops the Packers into the 1-2, one of those two.
Yeah.
I think it's 1-2 Bears or Packers, 3-4 is Lions Vikings. Whichever order of that you want to do is fine with me.
Yeah. Both Chicago and Green Bay have added one safety of be a role player
Mm-hmm.
back there. Kevin Byard in Chicago, and
Mm-hmm.
then Xavier McKinney.
Yeah.
McKinney, McKinney's one of the best ones in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He's
He's going to be
he's a
elite.
disruptor for
Yeah.
sure. And Byard was kind of supposed to be like the veteran guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's replacing Eddie Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
whose stats dipped dramatically over the past 3-4 years that I've watched him. Led the league in interceptions at one point. Dude was
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
I think that
I
really.
could interswap those.
Mm-hmm. I'd interchange them. I think the big difference will come down to if the Packers rookie safeties, because we fucking got 3 of them, is how much of
Right.
an impact they'll make. If they don't make a ton of impact, then I think it's the Bears. But the Packers have put themselves in a spot where they could be better
Yeah.
than I think the Bears could just based off of if the rookies perform.
We didn't have a ton of safety interceptions. I think we had maybe 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was more cornerbacks, linebackers that were picking off the ball.
Yeah, man, it's because you guys suck.
So let's jump to linebackers, man. What are you thinking? The big question mark is Dallas Turner over there in Minnesota.
I think I'm. I
Although
think
he'll be used as an edge probably.
he is. He's
more.
going to be used as an edge. I think that there's just not enough personnel that really Minnesota is going to be able to pull out to necessarily let these individuals kind of shine through.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be a tough room to be in. And I don't necessarily know if I trust Brian Flores to like figure out a scheme. Like he was good on the stretch that at the end of the year, just because he was blitzing so much, but then he got figured out, and it was like, oops, this defense like sucks. Like once you realize that they're just gonna blitz or fake a blitz every single time, like it's hard to be like, oh yeah, this is a good defense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to catch on to a scheme like that.
Mm-hmm.
But something that really intrigues me is Detroit with Anzalone and
Mm-hmm.
Jack Campbell, as well as who's it? Derek Barnes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these are some good names, man. the question mark for me is which room is better, them, Chicago, Green Bay? Because Chicago's got many notable names as well, with Jack Sanborn, Tremaine Edmonds, and T.J. Edwards. Edwards being one of the most productive linebackers in the league last year. And then Packers got a lot of guys that they drafted as well that they're developing. But yeah, man.
I think
It's
the Packers are. I think the Packers are the worst of those three. Just because it's a lot of guys who haven't proven themselves quite yet. Could get better, but they got to prove it first for me to say like, yeah, this is the best linebacker room.
Quay is just good. He's what brings that room up for me.
Yeah, man, Quay Walker's good, but when he pulls up and he's trying to fucking punch a medical staff personnel, then it's tough to be like, yeah, man, this is a guy that's gonna create an impact on this defense in a positive light.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. It's hard.
Let me just say.
What?
I'm just saying, if he's enough of a dog to try to punch a member of the medical staff, maybe he does contribute to the defense a little more.
That's true. He is a dog, but I think he's got to mature. That's really where it is for me. Is that Walker's got to mature a little bit before I can say that like he's elevating this linebacker room.
A little emotional. Yeah. I'll put Chicago number 1 because I'm biased.
That's fair. I can live with that.
They've got great linebackers, man. Always have. Hopefully always will.
Fair.
They've got a great room.
That's fair.
Had, a lot of interceptions as well from the linebackers. So, yeah.
That's fair. I can agree with all that. Well, I think that's every position group. Right. Unless we want to do special teams, but it's going to be grim.
All right.
Yeah,
how about combination kicker punter?
Yeah.
As a duo.
As a duo?
Ooh. I do. Dude, there's a lot of excitement with this new Bears punter, man. Corey Taylor.
I hate
the
to
Australian.
I hate to say that. I think it's
he literally was one of the best players on the Iowa team that he was on. Like, they were excited when he came out because they're like, well, at least they'll pin him, within the 10-yard line or something. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him. Cairo got extended recently. He's been automatic. We had a lot of kicker woes, dude. So it's good to have a solid kicker.
I think kicker punter, it's Bears is number 1. And then I don't even know who the fucking the Vikings are running in their punter and kicking room. I'll be totally honest with you. Like after they got rid of Joseph.
Pat O'Connell is a great punter.
Okay.
He's great.
Do you think that puts him at 2?
Or Pat O'Donnell? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll put Packers at number 2. I mean, well,
no, I'm saying
they having those kicker issues.
No, I'm talking Vikings. Where are you putting the Vikings?
I'm talking about
long
the Packers.
Snappers. We'll cover next. We'll cover soon. Long snapper is not concerned.
Okay. Here's my thoughts. Is that I like
punter.
I think Bears is number 1, and I think that's that's obvious for me. They got the best kicker and possibly have the best punter. With the inclusion of Braden Narvizan, I'm gonna say that I said that wrong. I don't know. I think the Packers got slightly better, but it's hard for me to evaluate the Packers kicking and punting room because our special teams as a whole just sucks ass.
That's fair. You did blame the special teams a lot for those losses.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's
What's the issue? Are they like missing tackles or?
Dude,
is it scheming? Did they fire any special teams coaches?
No, we still have whatever the fuck his nuts is. What the fuck is his name? Rich Pisaccia, is still our special teams coach, and honestly, I think it was that we kind of overhyped him. He was the Raiders special teams coach, and then when they fucking fired whatever his name was, he became the interim head coach for that year. When they fired,
dude, I remember this guy.
Yeah, we picked him up as our special teams coach.
Oh God, what year would the Raiders hire their head coach?
Huh?
Yes, dude. Okay, he was a special teams coordinator for the Bucks when they won the Super Bowl way back in the day.
Didn't know that. Crazy.
But
way back in the day, like 4 years ago. You mean?
Or are you talking the
No,
2000
I'm
one?
talking 20 years ago.
The 2003 one?
Oh,
Yeah.
Was it 23?
Yeah.
03?
02
02? Yeah.
or
It's in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I wasn't really conscious for it, so it's not like it's real or anything.
no. Those early Super Bowls I mix up cuz you got the 2000
You got like
it's 2000 where Rams played the Titans
yeah,
and the
yeah,
Rams
yeah.
almost won.
Yeah, the greatest show on
that's
turf
crazy.
right there. And then yeah, you had the greatest
There
show
you
on
go.
turf, which is 2000, I believe. And then you got like 3 Patriots Super Bowls in there at some point. One of them is 07 where they went but then lost. Go Giants.
Yep.
hey, go Eli. Get
Yeah,
him
go
back.
Eli, the goat.
That
Yeah, man.
day in 01.
It's been a long time since I've watched a Bears Super Bowl. I have watched it.
Mhm.
I've seen it with my eyes.
Same.
So
I have 2. I've seen a Bears and a Packers Super Bowl.
yeah.
I like Jake Bates a lot. Maybe this is like gonna sway me in putting the Lions above the Packers. It's just that I've seen Bates live at a Panthers game, and fucking he's on command. I don't, Drew. I know you have some concerns about like consistency and stuff.
All right. This is going to be a prelude to a question I'm going to ask you guys later. But I just want to say I am deeply concerned about Jake Bates and his ability to make extra points.
Where did this concern stem from? What did you
Preseason.
see?
All the extra points that he misses all the time.
Okay, here's my argument where I'm not concerned about it if I'm a Lions fan.
I think he might be nearsighted.
He could be. Here's what I think in terms of
he might need glasses.
My concern and how I don't really have a concern. I'd rather have a guy on my team as a kicker that I know is going to be able to get you the field goal whenever the fuck you need it. Like the big moments, like end of the game, you got 3 seconds left, you got to get this field goal to win the game. I know that I can trust Jake Bates in that spot. Like 50 yards out, he's fine.
But what if it's a 28-yard field goal?
See?
What if it's a 28-yard field goal?
But like in the big moment, in the big moment, it's fine. I don't have any doubt in Jake Bates in the big moment. Like consistently throughout his time in the UFL, he was fine in the big moments. Only had a couple of times when it like didn't work out. The moments when he doesn't need to do it though, and it's like, oops, an extra point in the middle of the game. Like, does this really matter? It's kind of like the Mason Crosby effect, where he was kind of doing the same thing, where it's like, yo, end of the game, we need a field goal to win. Crosby's going to get it 90% of the time. But middle of the game, a random fucking 15-yard field goal or a fucking extra point, he might miss a couple, and it's fine. Because you know when it comes down to the moment when you need it most, he'll get it.
He might miss a couple a game.
Dude, that's
Crosby was doing that sometimes.
You can't be doing that.
Okay, honestly, I'd rather have a guy.
I'm gonna lose sleep over it, 100%.
And that's fair. I'd rather have a guy I know who can pull up and he's gonna be able to hit a fucking 50+ yarder, like almost on command, as opposed to maybe having a guy who
that's awesome.
might lack a little bit of consistency. Like I'm fine to trade off a little bit of consistency in the short game to the guy on command who's going to be able to win you the game. And that's like maybe a personal thing.
The issue with consistency is not little.
I'd say
I think it's going to be a real issue.
Damn. Okay.
That's probably the thing about the Lions that I am most concerned about. No, this is like straight up. I thought about this. Yeah. I think. Yeah. It's me really concerned.
I want Jake Bates UFL stats.
I think they should trade for Nick Folk.
Whack.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Here is the stats from last year in Jake Bates. He had 77% from field goal percentage, which was like kind of low, but not great. But here's the other thing, is that Jake Bates also had the longest field goal by a good amount and had the second most points scored by a kicker in the league. Let's see, how many field goals did he make? He also had the second most field goals made, but was just attempting a fuck ton of them. Had the most attempts and second most field goals made.
Also, he looks like Nathan for you.
Who?
Let's make note that the
Nathan
UFL
from
Oh yeah, that's facts. That's true. Yeah,
Nathan
he does.
Fielder,
He
the
does look like
comedian.
that. He does look like him. That's true.
No, but the NFL recently shrunk their field goal, but it is the same as the UFL field goal, so they shrunk theirs as well to get it smaller.
I
But
wait,
hey,
what do you mean? It gets shorter or the uprights are closer?
uprights are closer,
Mhm.
closer together.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they
The
did
uprights
that
are
not too
closer
long
this year?
ago.
I think it's a little
Not
bit.
this year. It wasn't too long ago.
It was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Could have been more. But the UFL did also change theirs to the same size at the same time. So
Well, it's because they're playing in
All right.
NFL stadiums. But yeah.
This year in the preseason, Jake Bates was 75% on extra points, which was 35th.
if we look at all the NFC North teams, which team has the best, like the most amount of number one position groups?
It's probably the Bears or the Lions, honestly.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Oh, we didn't talk about long snappers.
Dude, I don't know enough about long snappers. You can take this
All
one
right,
over.
how you guys feeling?
Dude,
I've been hearing some
Bears
tough
have
stuff
had
about
the
the
same.
Packers long snapper situation.
I'm willing to just put the Packers at fourth in anything special teams.
Okay.
I just know where we're at. I know
Yeah,
how it
that's
is.
fine.
I know what it is. It's fine.
I think Bears long snapper's been there for like fucking 10 years. Patrick Scales. Dude, I'm pretty sure he's
Lions
been there
long
since.
snapper got. If you had to go play in the NFL right now, would you snapper for your position?
Nah, dude, I'd probably suck.
Assume you could produce it at the average level. Assume you can produce at basically league average level.
Would I go do it?
I'd probably long snapper. It. You had to go play in the NFL right now.
I would choose.
I'm trying to think of like the position that has like
Oh,
the
man.
least amount of like damage of like having an average level player at.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
man. I might just try to be a kicker.
Yeah,
I feel like snapping, you also have to block.
that's
And,
true.
like if I'm blocking somebody, I'm
So?
getting beat. So
I
I'd
feel
rather
like
try to kick
I
it.
feel like an average. If I was an average punter, I feel like that'd be fine.
I can't punt worth a shit.
Well, no, we're saying in the hypothetical that you know you can perform at least at the average level in the NFL at a certain position group.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the 16th or 17th punter in the league.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not a bad spot to be in.
I'd go be a punter, get paid a little
Yeah.
bit, kind of
Have a-
chill, pull up
Have a
once.
good career.
If I'm
Yeah.
You'd
playing,
be traveling a lot.
yeah, be cool. Okay.
Changing teams and
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
But no, Patrick Scales has been the Bears long snapper since 2015.
Nice.
So
You've had.
he's been on the team the longest.
You want to hear something
actually.
crazy? Your
Yeah.
long snapper has been on the team longer than anybody on the Packers has been on their team,
Yeah, man. And the
including
Bears.
coaching staff.
Wow.
Wow, that is a crazy.
I think our GM is the only one that outdoes that. Is the only one who's been there longer.
Outranks Patrick Scales.
Yeah, who's been there longer than that.
And think about
Patrick
that.
Scales holds rank.
Patrick
bro.
Scales has been there for 10% of the life of Soldier Field.
Wow, that's a crazy stat. It's an
That is a
insane
crazy stat.
Okay.
And dude, he's probably like been a part of one hands down good Bears team. One. It's been
Maybe-
there for a decade.
yeah,
And
that's
there was
tough.
1 year where they're like, yeah, we're good.
The double doink. Tough.
Yeah, man. Fun fact about Cody Parkey, since we're kind of talking about special teams. In high school, he went to high school in Florida. He was a kicker, obviously.
Mhm.
In high school, he would practice accuracy by kicking at a lamppost. There was a newspaper article about it.
That's
So
pretty
he
sick.
literally would practice kicking at a post.
Mhm.
And not saying there's any correlation there between what ended up happening But
It can't go. It can't be a
hit the
coincidence.
upright. I think he hit the upright something like 8 times that season.
It can't be a coincidence that he was accidentally hitting the fucking upright after practicing like that.
Like, bro, it's like a quarterback that practices what to do after they get picked off all the time. I'm always gonna be ready for what happens when I throw a pick.
That's like Danny Dimes. That's what Danny Dimes be doing. He's like, yo, I know I'm gonna throw a pick, bro. I gotta be ready.
Yep.
I mean, Justin Tucker practices like 80
in my
yarders.
mind. I've already thrown the pick.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Tucker practices
next.
7
Yeah.
7 doinks, by the way.
Wow,
7
doinks.
Cody Parkey.
Wow. That's impressive.
Dude, like that's a lot.
That's rough.
And I watched some of those in person. Like I like 2 of them maybe, or yeah, could have been 1 or 2 I saw with my eyes.
That's impressive, honestly.
Dude, think about that. 7 separate times you hit the goalpost. That's
crazy.
That's tough.
Yeah. Well, now that we've gone through all the groups, we want to jump into maybe record predictions for the year.
Some records, sure. Nick, how about you start it off?
What team we want to start off with? Do you want to start from the worst?
You think is winning the division.
Winning the division.
Actually, no. Start with loser.
The loser?
Start with loser.
It's the Vikings. It's obvious. I got the Vikings ceiling is like I could realistically see them winning maybe 7 games. The last time I updated my thing.
They
go ahead.
might
Sorry.
be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah. Will the Vikings win any of the divisional games?
I have them winning 2.
And if so, against 2.
I think they'll trade off wins. The Vikings always beat the Packers once, and I have to be willing to accept that. That's just like a fact. We do it every year.
That's with Kirk.
That's in general. This has been like a decade-old thing. The Packers and the Vikings, for some reason, always trade wins. Like it's like almost historic that we do it. So I'm willing to accept that it's gonna happen. And then I feel like they'll get some other really dumb win off, like maybe when Hawkinson comes back, they got to play the Bears and they play the Lions in theory when that would happen. So I could see it being one of those 2.
Dude,
instances.
I'm taking 2 on the Vikings. Like Bears. I think Bears are sweeping the Vikings, man.
That's possible.
Like if you look at their team, dude, you're grasping at straws, especially with JJ gone.
Yeah, I don't
like.
I'm coming in from the argument of I know that they're bad. They're really bad. But even bad teams win games. Like even the Panthers won 3 games. Or wait, they win 2.
Are they bad?
I don't think the Vikings are going to have a number 1 or number 2 or number 3 pick. But I think they're going to be like a top 5, easily top 10 pick next year. Like the Vikings, I have their floor.
That's a good take.
Their floor is at like 3, and their ceiling is at like 7. I think realistically they could win 5 or 6, especially like when Hawkinson comes back. That's a team that could like maybe elevate a little bit on offense. I think like my thoughts as to where like the Lions could lose a game to the Vikings is like if the Lions have already secured up the division. It's week 18. They play. They play the Vikings and the Lions. And if the Lions have already secured the division, and they might just bench starters. And that's where I could see like a Vikings win coming. Yeah. Like in this, and that's where I could see like coming. And then I just know the Packers, like the Vikings will probably swap a win.
Yeah. I will know. I made some daunting Minnesota defensive predictions, and that was after I forgot that Danielle Hunter is now on the Texans.
That's fair.
Knowing that their most productive player is probably a rookie, it's not looking good.
It's tough.
You know.
Yeah, I think
it's not looking
all
good.
All right, Vikings week 1 against the Giants. You think that's a win or a loss?
I think it's a win.
Dude, that's a tough game. And I was looking at that game, and I asked Eden too what she thought. I said, "Who do you think is worse, the Vikings or the Giants?" And she said, "The Giants." And I said, "That is the Bible."
I just think that there's like no chance that the Giants are that great. Like I think the Giants will have a top 3 pick. I don't.
The only thing is the Giants' defensive line has some notable players.
They do, but that's the only position.
Wait, you think the Giants are going to be worse than the Vikings?
Yeah.
And
I think the Giants might. I think the Giants might be the worst team in the NFL this year. I think they have one position group that like really I actually think is good, and that's their defensive line. And when that's your
Their D
only
line is good, man, but yeah, they,
like that's it. I think Malik Neighbors will be good, but there's only so much that Danny Dimes can do when he to help Malik Neighbors be good, like because he sucks ass.
how about this, Drew? Give me Vikings 6 or less. Give me Giants 5 or less. That's
I
essentially
think
what I'm thinking.
I think the Vikings might be the worst team this year. Like, I'm just looking at the schedule right now. I think they could lose all of these games.
Worst in the
Like,
league is tough for me, man.
They could. I think they could lose a lot of their games, but I just don't think that they're going to. I think that they're going to be like maybe 4 or 5, the fourth or fifth worst team.
I'm not super trusting in Arizona, not super trusting in Carolina
I'm pretty
or
high on Arizona,
Washington.
actually. I think Arizona could be a
The only thing
sneaky.
that gets me with Washington, I like Dan Quinn and I like Jaden Daniels, but they took away
yeah.
they took away Curtis Samuel, who I guess wasn't doing a whole lot anyway. But
I'm
And
high
Jahan
on
Dotson.
Arizona, actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
really,
Mhm.
why's that?
When Kyler Murray was back from injury last year, they were a top 10
Yeah,
offense.
Yeah,
And
Kyler's good.
yeah, when Kyler's on the field, they're good. Like they're a top 10 offense. Their defense sucks. Like that's a known fact. So like their defense is going to lose them games. But when you added like Marvin Harrison Jr., which in theory is going to be like an elite level talent, you got Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got a couple of other guys who can kind of help assist the room, and Kyler Murray who could just fucking book it whenever he needs to. I think they could end up like hitting like I think they'll be better than the Vikings. I think they'll be like a 7-8 win team.
I'm on the same page there.
They could be like a fringe
really.
nine. They could be like a fringe 9-8 team just because their schedule is so easy.
Hmm. It's tough. I'm just
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with like Washington too, where I think Washington has enough good people around them to where if Daniels performs at like an all right level and he could just
he
run a
can
ton, then they could be like a fringe wild card team.
maybe. I don't know. It's I just don't. I haven't seen enough from Arizona to really be like sure, Kyler is productive.
Mhm.
Is that all you have, right?
No, I
Do
mean it's that
you do
Kyler's
you
productive
trust
in the offensive scheme. Like I keep forgetting their coach's name off the top of my head. It's not Cliff Kingsbury, is it?
Cliff?
Is it Cliff?
Is it Cliff? I thought it was Cliff. I thought it was Cliff.
It
I
might be
don't know.
Cliff.
Where's
No,
the
it's Jonathan Gannon. I think he's like
man?
Cliff went to the Eagles to be their OC. That's what I was remembering.
Oh,
No, Jonathan Gannon. I think they could just be like an all right team. Their defense will suck. Like they will if like when they're in games, it'll be like high point games where it's like, oops, yeah, the offense is scoring 35 points, but they're losing by like because they're getting fucking 40 put on them.
that's fair. Yeah, Cardinals probably be better, but I
Mm,
just don't trust him, man. I don't see more than 8 wins. I don't see a wild card spot.
that's fair.
None of that.
I'm just more so equal on them and the Commanders. And if you think the Commanders could be like a fringe wild card team, then I think you got to put the Cardinals in that same boat. But if you don't see
Mm-hmm.
the Commanders as even a fringe wild card team, then that it kind of
Because
just
the
works
thing
out.
is, it's hard for me to see the Bears as a fringe wild card team, but I would take the Bears roster over both of those rosters.
Oh well, yeah, obviously.
So it's hard for me to like consider them at that level
That's
yet
fair.
until I see it. We've
That's fair.
seen the 10-0 Cardinals or
Hmm.
whatever. We watched that
Yeah.
shit happen, so you
Okay.
never know.
Yeah, that's
All
fair.
right, I have a bellwether for the Cardinals for you guys. I have a cousin that goes to Fenton.
Hmm.
That's a total bandwagon dickhead kid, right? Crazy about the Warriors. Used to be crazy about the LeBron Heat. He is crazy about the Arizona Cardinals,
That might say something.
and I think that
But
says something.
Hmm.
you said he hopped on during that undefeated season, right?
Yeah, but he never hopped off.
Hmm. I think the
Weird.
Cardinals
I
could
think
be.
he set himself up for failure,
I think the
boss.
Cardinals could be good. Not like great, but like an all right team. Round 500. Round 500. Anyhow, let's keep it. Let's get back to the NFC North. What's
Third
do we
place?
are we in agreement that it's gonna go Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings? pretty much in that, or have you kind of elevated that the Packers will do worse than the Bears, Caleb?
Will they tie?
I
it's
think it'll be
hard.
close.
It's hard. 'Cause I get. Sorry, what I'm saying is double-digit wins for both teams
I agree.
is what I'm seeing. So
I
I
have
mean,
I have 12, 11, and 10 for all three.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think my final Bears prediction was at 11, and I think Lions was either 12 or 13. But dude, it's just a tough division. Like we know who sucks.
Mhm.
Question is who's good. On the Bears, at least, but
The Bears,
it'll be a fight for that number 1 spot, I think.
here's my thought, is that I think that the Lions are like a good amount better than the Bears are currently, but I don't think that I could see the Bears winning the division this year, just based off of like where this team at is in development. But I could see the Packers or the Lions winning this division. I think it's feasible for both, which is where I'd say that I think that means in my head that I think the Packers are going to be better than the Bears, just because I could see the ceiling of the Packers being better.
Bears defense this year will be one of the best in the league. It will be. It was last
What
year.
does
It
one
will
of
be
mean?
again. Top
What does one of
3 was
mean?
my prediction.
Top three? Okay.
My
But I could
prediction
also
is top 3.
see, here's the other thing, is I could see the Packers and the Lions having a top 10 defenses each, both being
Yeah,
in the top
definitely.
10. And if they're both in the top 10, and maybe the Bears are the top 3, is the offense and the Lions and the Packers that much better that it offsets that a little bit more. Like I'm seeing
Right.
this week 18 game Packers Bears, and I know the Packers are going to cook them. I just know it's a fact. It's going to happen, and that's how it is. I do have that the Packers streak against the Bears will end this year. That's a formal prediction. I have it happening. Week 11.
So
Week 11.
they're gonna beat them first before they
The Bears.
get cooked.
My prediction is that the Bears will beat the Packers in Week 11 at home for the first time in 6 years, or is it 8?
5 or 6.
Yeah. That's my formal prediction. I got that happening. I think the Bears
6.
will. I think the Bears and the Packers will trade wins.
Yeah. I'm thinking the streak will end this year as well. But it's tough to see, man. This defense is going to be good, and if they fuck up Jordan Love, that's a wrap.
I just think at home.
That's a wrap.
I think at home in Lambeau, Week 18. I've been to a Week 18 Packers Bears game. Like that's a whole different energy. I just think that the Packers will win that game.
Sure.
So if
But
they're
here's
tied,
what
I think if they tie, that the Packers will be able to get. I right now have the Packers having the most divisional wins in the division.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that
And
they
that
can.
includes you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just threw one away to the Vikings.
Yeah, so I
You
have.
just threw 2 of them away to the Vikings.
I threw one of them away to the
Or
Vikings.
you threw one to the Vikings, one to the Bears.
Yep.
So then that means they sweep the Packers
They sweep the Lions.
or the Lions. Wow.
That's
I did not
my
see that
that's my
happen,
take.
boss.
That I have the Lions losing. I have them losing 4 or 5 games, and 2 of them will be to the Packers. That's my other hot take.
Is it because you're so tired of seeing Detroit beat the Packers?
No, it's just that I think with the new defensive line thing, that Goff's biggest weakness comes when like he's forced to go outside of the pocket. And I think that schematically the Packers, with how aggressive their defensive line can get, could prove a challenge to this offensive line and just like kind of keep Goff a little bit like scrambled. And there's just a couple, like their matchups are pretty solid, like in the time of the year.
You just said the Lions have one of the best lines in the league, though.
They do. They do have a really good offensive line, but I think that the Packers have like one of the best defensive lines in the league, and that they could, if they fucking start blitzing and just get up in their faces, it could put a lot of pressure on the pocket, and could maybe cause a problem to Goff.
We know when you put pressure on Goff, he's prone to throwing picks.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like the secret to beating
Yeah.
Jared. You just got to get past the line and make him panic, dude. If you can do that, you're good.
And I think the Packers have put themselves in a really good spot to where they can. Like they got McKinney, they have Jair, and they don't play. They play them in week 9 and 14, and by then I think that we'll have it figured out. And so if you know that, like, hey, we just got to fucking blitz the fuck out of Goff and just get our fucking linebackers and our safeties, like, on good man coverage, that Goff will throw a couple picks.
Here's the thing that gets me, jumping back to Packers-Bears, is that Bears had the best rushing defense in the league last year. Facts. Okay. Now, them against Josh Jacobs, I'm not worried. I feel like they take away the run game.
I would like to.
Then you put up the wide receivers against whoever's going against Jalen Johnson.
Can I point out something?
Dude, they're getting locked up. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I watched Aaron Jones put up 150 yards against the Bears live on Week 18 last year, against the number 1 rush defense in the league.
Okay.
That's my only counterpoint. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fair. I don't find the relevance really, but all I'm saying is that when they shut down that, then you got at least one shutdown corner. Jalen Johnson, dude, he is a machine. Whoever he is guarding is having a bad night. Like that's guaranteed. So if he's on wide receiver 1, I think
also against the Packers that works out fine. Like again, like you could shut down Jaden Reed as like say that's our wide receiver 1. Dubs and Watson and Wicks can still pull up and just have like an incredible night.
Hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a Cook situation. I don't.
No,
I don't
definitely not.
Well, you said they're getting cooked.
Oh no!
So
they're gonna beat them in Week 18. That's a fact.
Cook the Bears.
No, they will. Week 18 they will. But but it's fine. We'll lose in Week 11, and then we'll have a revenge game in Week 18.
Define cook.
Get cooked. 27-16.
So you're saying it an 11-point
double-digit
difference? Lead. Okay. Double-digit
difference. Double digits?
Yeah, we can write that down. Double-digit lead in Week 18.
I would consider
just more broadly, getting cooked is like losing 2 or 3 touchdowns. That's it, though?
I don't know. I mean, we could increase it. I could say 14 points. We'll win by
2 touchdowns.
It won't be a close game. It'll be very it'll be very obvious that the Packers won the game and that the Bears weren't gonna win it.
I don't see that happening. Okay. Not this year, man.
Agree to disagree, but that's okay.
I mean, it's gonna be a go to defense, dude.
Yeah.
We'll see what them wide receivers can do, but
yeah, we'll see. I do have to get going, so if it's fine to wrap this up.
All right. I have one last question for both of you guys.
Okay.
Tell me one thing that terrifies you about your team this year.
Special teams.
Nick. Caleb.
I mean, see, there's obvious answers when it comes to Chicago. I'm not scared about Williams. I'm really not. The dude seems super intelligent. I don't have a lot of questions there. And I want to say like maybe the other edge of the D line, but it's still going to be a good defense. So I'm going to say the Packers games. How can we play against the Packers, man? That's the biggest question. It's the biggest fear. Can we beat them?
My thoughts on that is that's why I think that they got to win Week 11. I think if Caleb Williams loses in Week 11 against the Packers, it's just going to keep the tradition going. That's my take.
Yeah, man.
That if they get like cooked in Soldier Field or like beat by the Packers in Soldier Field, that for his first game against the Packers, it'll leave that mental image. Same way it did with Fields. Yeah.
I've seen it many times. But
yeah. Drew, what are you afraid of for the Lions?
Jake Bates.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I told you guys at the time. Like.
Yeah. Valid.
All right, and then one final thing I would like to know is which Packer is doing something extremely irresponsible in Brazil this week. Outside of the game.
Oh, who is the most irresponsible Packer? I mean, the obvious answer is like Quay Walker's going to do something outlandish. But like it's going to be someone on the defense. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm thinking it's gonna be Quay or Jair, or it's gonna do something absolutely
I think
outlandish.
so.
Like Quay Walker is like gonna possibly.
Jair has proven to be
Yeah.
quite the loose cannon at times.
Quay would like
Um,
possibly put himself in a position where he's get into a fight or something, and that's fine. He's got to show that he's got that dog in him. But Jair would do something like
Fight
out.
against a Brazilian.
I'm not saying against a
Fight
Brazilian.
against a Brazilian.
It might
person.
either a
Okay.
Brazilian or an eagle. He might just get into a fight. Like somebody, he's gonna throw hands with someone. I don't know who. But like Jair will just do something like so incomprehensibly outlandish that I couldn't even put it into words. It's gonna be like a goofy story that like comes out on fucking Saturday. That's like Jair did what last night? Like he fucking
based on a tale I heard from the former Detroit Lion Eric Lynch,
Mhm.
I am gonna say that the Packer getting into trouble will be the fourth string defensive end Aaron Mosby.
Oh my
Because he's
god!
gonna be like,
Whoa!
fuck it, bro, I'm not gonna play.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That'd be
then,
crazy.
yeah.
Went to the home of the BBL.
Wow.
The
Crazy.
source.
Or like Malik Willis. Could be Malik Willis. He could go crazy.
Malik. Forgot about him.
Malik going crazy. Oh, okay. Any other questions
All
before
right.
we sign off?
No, I think that's all I got.
That's all you got? Well, it's been real. It's been fun. Thanks for watching,
Been real.
everyone who does. Thanks for joining me on this fine day, you two fellas. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. See ya.
See ya.